Level 1. The Farmer. A tax clerk stands at the edge of a flooded rice paddy. He carries a tally stick. He counts every bale of rice before you've eaten a single grain of what you grew. The mud is cold around your ankles. It has been cold like this every planting season you can remember. Your father knelt here. His father knelt here before him. The paddy doesn't care whose hands work it, as long as the rice keeps coming. The tax has a name, Nengu. Records suggest it took 40 to 50% of your harvest most years, sometimes more. Half of everything you grow, gone before the first snow. You live in a mud hut. Dawn to dusk, you work the fields. The rains decide if your children eat this winter. Not you. You have never seen the man who rules this land. You never will. What you see is the clerk. The tally stick, the number that never gets smaller. Here is the number that matters more than any other. 7. Warriors, the men who carry swords instead of hoes, make up barely 7% of the population. Farmers like you make up more than 4 out of every 5 people in Japan. You are the floor this entire system is built on. No one will ever tell you that. They will only tell you what you owe. When the clerk finishes counting, you bow. It is not respect. It is the only motion this system allows you to make today. He leaves. Next season, he comes back. The tally stick always comes back. There's a story passed between rice paddies about a man born a servant, a man who once carried another lord's sandals for a living, who rose all the way to the top of this world. You've heard the story. You haven't heard what he did once he got there. Somewhere between you and that story sits a piece of paper neither of you has read, signed decades ago, deciding, before either of you were born, exactly how today would go. Above you, right now, men with swords are being sorted too, into a system with over 100 different ranks. Rules tighter than yours will ever be. Level 2. The Foot Soldier. A barefoot peasant boy is handed a spear before a campaign season. He is told, for now, he is a soldier. For now, that's the important part. Before 1591, men like him weren't a fixed rank. They were farmers, called up when a lord needed bodies for a battle, sent home when the fighting stopped. No steady pay. No guarantee of tomorrow's title. Just a spear, a season, and a war that wasn't his. He kneels before his commander the morning he's handed that spear. It's the same motion the farmer made to the tax clerk. Different reason, same shape. Everything changed with one law. A decree split Japan permanently. Soldiers would stay soldiers, farmers would stay farmers, and no one would cross back. After that, this rank finally became fixed, hereditary, stable, real. But stability came at a price. Once you were sorted, you stayed sorted. Forever. He carries the spear well. He follows orders without hesitation. He is, in every practical sense, disposable. Trained just enough to die usefully, never enough to be irreplaceable. His name won't appear in any record of this campaign. Only the outcome will. Some of these men would spend their entire lives never knowing if they'd still be soldiers by next spring, until one edict decided for them, permanently, whether they wanted it or not. Level 3. The Rural Samurai. A rural samurai kneels in his own rice field at dawn. His sword rests against a fence post. From a distance, he is indistinguishable from the farmers working the next plot over. He has the title. He does not have the income to match it. In domains like Satsuma, men at this rank, called goshi, were samurai in name and law, but their stipend, measured in koku of rice, was too small to live on without also farming the land themselves. So they farmed. Sword in the house, hoe in the hand. This breaks the system's own rule. The entire hierarchy exists to keep warrior and farmer permanently separate. One edict made sure of that. And yet here he is, doing both, because the numbers on his stipend never added up to a life. He bows to no farmer. He answers to a lord he rarely sees. In between those two facts is a man standing in mud, holding a rank the paperwork insists is higher than it feels. At least he still has a master. That's not nothing. In this system, having no master at all is its own kind of rank. And it's worse than this one. Level 4. The Masterless Samurai. A masterless samurai stands outside a merchant's gate at night. He offers his blade as a hired bodyguard. This is not what he trained for. It's what's left. He is a ronin, a samurai whose master is gone, through death or disgrace, and who has not found another.
He still carries 2 swords, the law still lets him, but the stipend is gone, the land is gone, the identity that came with serving someone is gone.
According to the Bushido Shoshinshu, a samurai who lost his master was expected to end his own life rather than live on without purpose. Choosing to live anyway, as this man has, was considered by many in his own class to be a deeper shame than death itself. So he stands at merchant gates. He sells the only skill he has left to people his own class was trained to look down on. 2 swords at his belt. Nothing else that once defined him. Above him were men who never lost a master. That didn't necessarily mean they kept their freedom either. Level 5. The Retainer. A retainer samurai reports for morning duty inside his lord's compound. Same gate, same bow.
Same routine, every day, for the rest of his life.
This is the rank most samurai actually occupied. Steady koku stipend, a fixed post within his lord's domain, work that was as much clerk as warrior by the time the Edo peace settled in. He is safe in a way the ronin was not. Safety has a cost. By law, he cannot simply leave for another lord's service. The choice that ended one man's stability began another man's obligation. Much of what he believes defines his honor, the code called Bushido, didn't come from the shogunate. It came from a retired warrior named Yamamoto Tsunetomo, talking for 7 years to a younger samurai who wrote it all down. Not a law, a private set of notes, later called hagakure. He bows to his lord each morning. It's the same motion the farmer made to a clerk, and the foot soldier made to a commander he'd never see again.
Only the room has changed. The code that was supposed to define his honor wasn't even official law. It was one old man's private notes.
Level 6. The Shogun's Bannerman. A Hatamoto is summoned to Edo Castle for a ceremony he has attended 100 times. He still cannot afford to perform it incorrectly. This rank answers to the shogun directly, not through a daimyo, not through a middleman. His stipend comes straight from the shogunate. On paper, that makes him higher status than the retainer serving a regional lord. In practice, it means the protocol watching him is tighter, not looser. Direct proximity to the top of the hierarchy comes with direct exposure to its rules. He bows at the correct depth, at the correct moment, in the correct direction. He has practiced this bow more than he has practiced with his sword.
Back in his home domain, men are running the actual business of the territory without him. They answer to no one visible at all, while he answers, in person, to a ceremony that leaves no room for error.
Level 7. The Chief Retainer. While his daimyo is away in Edo, a karo signs off on every decision that keeps the domain running. Someone has to. The lord is gone for the better part of the year, tied up in obligations at the capital. The taxes still need collecting. The roads still need maintaining. The domain does not pause because its ruler is elsewhere bowing through a ceremony. So the Kado runs it, quietly, without the title that would say so. He holds the real daily authority. And none of the credit, because credit belongs, on paper, to a man who is currently somewhere else entirely.
He does not bow to the farmers whose taxes he manages. He bows to an empty seat symbolically at the start of each council. The seat that belongs to a lord who isn't there. The man technically above him was hundreds of miles away, bowing through a ceremony he couldn't skip either. Level 8. The Lord. A daimyo's procession, hundreds of retainers, porters, and banners, crawls along the road toward Edo. It's an extraordinary display of wealth. It's also, quietly, bleeding him dry. This is Sankin Kotai, the alternate attendance system. Every daimyo was required to maintain a residence in Edo and travel back and forth on a fixed schedule, leaving family behind as a kind of standing collateral. Historians estimate it consumed roughly a quarter of a daimyo's annual revenue on average, though some records suggest costs ranging as high as 3/4 of a domain's income, depending on distance from the capital and how much the shogunate trusted him. The less trusted he was, the more the system made him pay to prove otherwise. He bows on arrival at Edo Castle. He bows on departure. Every bow costs money he didn't have to spend, on a ceremony he isn't permitted to question. The farther he was trusted to stay from Edo, the more it cost him to prove he still deserved that trust. Level 9. The Council of Elders. A council of 5 men meets inside Edo Castle to decide matters the shogun will never personally review. This is the Roju, the senior council that handled the actual daily machinery of national government. In many periods, records suggest their collective decisions shaped the country more directly than anything the shogun himself signed. They are the rank above the daimyo ceremony, above the hatamoto's protocol. The level where power stops being about proximity and starts being about who is actually in the room when decisions get made. It's worth noting who else, outside this entire ranked system, sometimes mattered more than the rank chart suggests. In 1600, an English sailor named William Adams washed ashore, expecting execution as a pirate. Instead, Tokugawa Ieyasu made him one of his most trusted advisors. A foreigner with no rank at all, closer to real influence than most men who spent a lifetime climbing this ladder. Decades earlier, a warrior named Yasuke, recorded as the first black samurai in Japan, served directly at the side of the warlord Oda Nobunaga and was present when Nobunaga died. Neither man fits anywhere on the 10 ranks you've just climbed. Both mattered more than several of them combined. Above this council sits only one man. By the time you understand what his day actually looks like, you may not envy him. Level 10. The Shogun. Inside Edo Castle, the shogun sits behind a screen during a ceremony he cannot skip. Beyond its walls, men he never personally chose are deciding what happens next. He holds, on paper, the highest military authority in Japan. In practice, he is watched by a network of inspectors, the Metsuke, built to catch disloyalty anywhere in the ranks below him. He is bound by the same Sankin Kotai ritual that bleeds every daimyo dry. Except his version of it is permanent. He does not travel to Edo. He is Edo. He cannot leave the role even to see it from the outside. The system that surrounds him, the edict that locked every rank in place, the ceremony that scripts his every public motion, was built by a man who started as a servant carrying another lord's sandals. That man climbed higher than anyone before him. Then he made sure no one, including whoever sat on this exact throne after him, could ever climb that freely again.
The most powerful man in Japan spent his reign surrounded by men whose only job was making sure he never moved without permission. He bows. It is the same motion the farmer made to a clerk, 10 ranks and 1 entire world ago.
The farmer in the rice paddy never saw the shogun's face. The shogun never saw the farmer's field.
But strip away the swords, the silk, the 100 ranks in between, and they are making the same motion. One bows because a tax collector demands it. The other bows because 3 centuries of ritual demand it. The man who built this ladder in 1591 climbed it himself. Then he made sure no one else ever could. Neither the man at the bottom nor the man at the top ever chose the rules he lives by. The cycle continues. A shipwrecked sailor is dragged before Japan's most powerful warlord in 1600, certain he'll be executed as a pirate. He isn't. He becomes one of the warlord's most trusted advisors. This is samurai Japan. 7% of the population carried swords.
The other 93% fed them. It's the same world behind Shogun, the series that just won 18 Emmys. William Adams, the real man behind John Blackthorne, is only the beginning of what got left out. The man who built this hierarchy started as a servant, carrying another lord's sandals. Then he sealed the ladder shut behind him. By the end, you'll know why the shogun was the most watched man.